Today, we are going to challenge one of the most protected ideas in real estate, the idea that a lower fee agent must somehow be a lower quality agent. That phrase, discount agent, sounds harmless, but it is not neutral. It is a label designed to make consumers suspicious before they ever look at the facts. For most people, their home is the largest financial asset they will ever own. So the question should not be who sounds the most expensive. The question should be, what am I actually paying for? And does the fee match the work? This presentation is an audit of the commission myths, referral taxes, and gatekeeping language that keeps sellers paying more than they need to. This is Steve Koleno, and this is Confidential Remarks. The word discount does a lot of work. It makes the lower priced option sound smaller, weaker, or less serious. But that is only one way to frame it. If one agent is called a discount agent because they charge less, then an agent charging 5 or 6% could just as fairly be called an overpriced agent. Both labels are equally logical. The difference is that only one label became common, because the people who benefit from the higher fee got to name the conversation first. So before we accept the language, we need to inspect the math. The label is not proof of quality. It is often a way to stop the seller from asking the most important question. Why does this cost so much? This is where the math becomes very clear. Selling a $300,000 home and selling a $600,000 home may involve the same core work: photography, marketing, coordination, paperwork, compliance, showings, and negotiation. But under a percentage-based commission, the fee doubles simply because the home is worth more. The labor checklist did not double. The number of documents did not double. The number of professional responsibilities did not automatically double. That means the seller is not really paying for the amount of work performed. The seller is paying a premium tied to the size of the asset. And once you see that, the question changes. It is no longer, is this the standard fee? It becomes, is this fee actually connected to the service being delivered? A higher commission is often presented as evidence of a better agent. But in many cases, what you are really seeing is a more expensive business model. The slide shows a simple difference. The traditional 6% agent may be paying a large referral tax to lead generation portals just to get in front of the seller. That cost has to come from somewhere, and it usually comes out of the commission. By contrast, a 1% operator who owns their pipeline and attracts offers organically does not need to inflate the fee just to cover the cost of finding the customer. That does not make them weaker. It may make them more efficient. So the expensive agent is not always charging more because they are better. Sometimes they are charging more because their system is heavier, slower, and more dependent on rented attention. One of the most common warning sellers here is, if you pay less commission, you may leave money on the table. That sounds persuasive, but it often reverses the actual economics of the transaction. A high commission is not weightless. It has to be absorbed somewhere. Often the seller feels pressure to build that cost into the asking price, which can reduce buyer interest, narrow the buyer pool, and create friction before the home even has a chance to perform. A lower fee removes weight from the deal. It can give the seller more flexibility, cleaner pricing, and more leverage. In other words, the commission is not automatically the thing that protects the seller's money. In some cases, it is the thing sitting on the table, blocking the sale. When sellers question commission, they often hear the same responses. You get what you pay for. I fight for every dollar. Discount agents leave money on the table. My marketing plan is unparalleled. Those lines sound personal, but they are often trained responses. The point is not always to answer the question. The point is to neutralize the objection and protect the fee. That matters because confidence is not the same as proof. A polished pitch is not the same as a track record. If every agent uses the same phrases to defend the same percentage, The seller should recognize that they may not be hearing independent judgment. They may be hearing an industry script. This shows the real comparison. On one side, you have the 6% habit. It scales with asset value, rents attention through portals, often depends on low transaction volume, and leans heavily on scripted objection handling. On the other side, you have the 1% operator. This model ties pricing more directly to labor and execution. It owns the funnel. It tracks offers organically, operates with higher volume, and depends on transactional efficiency and market data. The important point is this: cheaper does not automatically mean weaker. In many cases, the lower fee agent may be the stronger operator because they have built a system that does not require an inflated commission to survive. The expensive number was never a quality signal by itself. It was just a number that became a habit. This example is useful because it separates attention from value. A viral story may make it look like technology was the star of the transaction, but the real lesson is more practical. Visibility is not the same as value. A seller does not need an agent to be the loudest person in the room. A seller needs licensed accountability, fair pricing, and a clean result. The industry often wants consumers to believe that if an agent is not highly visible, they are not valuable. But a real estate transaction is not supposed to be an ego contest. The goal is not to create a spotlight for the agent. The goal is to close properly, protect the seller, and deliver the outcome the seller wanted at a price that makes sense. Most sellers are told to interview agents and ask clever questions, but interviews reward salesmanship, and salesmanship is exactly what the seller is trying to see past. A better approach is to start with the public record. Look at actual closings. Look at days on market. Look at volume. Look at whether the agent has demonstrated performance in the real world, not just confidence in a meeting. The agent whose history speaks for itself does not need you to trust them up front. They can show you evidence. That is the standard sellers should use. Not who sounds the most polished. Not who uses the strongest script. Who has the receipts? The final point is simple. A standard fee does not automatically equal expertise. A 30-year veteran and an agent who has never closed a deal can quote the exact same percentage. That alone tells us the fee is not measuring skill. It is measuring habit. It is a standard dressed up as value. Sellers should not be pressured into believing there is only one acceptable way to pay for representation. You are the seller. You choose the level of service you want. You choose the economics that make sense. And the only question worth asking an agent is whether they will show you the receipts and let you keep the pen. This has been Confidential Remarks.